Okay, people. So just checked out a new sci-fi joint on Netflix, Netflix original. It's a Korean flick called Jung E. When I saw this advert, I thought it was called Jungle, but no, it's Jung E. Right? It is written and directed by Sang-ho it's produced by Yong-ho Kim. Yoo-ji-sun takes care of the cinematography. Jimo Yang edits the piece. Um, who else do we have? Obviously, there's a lot. I mean, there's way too many VR people to mention. Um, Jung E is played by Kim Hyun-joo. Lee So-young is played by Ji-won. Um, Jae Kong is played by Woo Yeol Han. The chairman is played by Lee Dong-hee. Um, Lee Jae Kwang plays a researcher. So does Young Ki Chung and Sun Hook Kim. Sang Hon is played by Ru Koyong-soo. Um, Jung E is also voiced by Ari Song, and Sei Hong is played by Kang Soo-yeon. Wait, I probably butchered all of those names, so apologies to any Koreans listening. So the base of the film is set in the 22nd century. Climate change has caused the planet to become uninhabitable, and humans live within a man-made shelter. A war, and there's a lot of these shelters, right? They're between the Earth and the Moon. So a war takes place within the shelter system, right? So I think it said, I think it was like 8, 10, and 11, something like that, all join together and revolt against the Earth. Yong Yi is the elite leader of the Allied forces. She becomes the subject of a brain cloning experiment. The cloning experiment is a potential key to win the war. Brr, that's a very terrible synopsis, I gotta say. It's not the best. But yeah, it's you know what I mean? It's an interesting concept, right? It's an interesting concept. Okay, so they took a famous legendary warrior who got injured, right? She's in a coma, and they've, replicated her brain to try and create these AI warriors, to be able to then fight the Adrian Republic and win this war. Yeah, so there's 80 of these shelters. It was 8, 12, and 13 that declared independence. Um, so yeah, it's just, fascinating, right? And it's such an interesting concept that you're like, okay, all right, I'm down for this, you know? So we open up with this sequence of Jung E fighting and all of that. And you're like, oh shit, what's it? This is pretty kind of crazy. But it's all, then we realize it's all this part of this stimulation, right? Because part of it, so in testing the brain, they're putting these clones through this last sequence, this last battle where Jung-yi got killed, well, injured, um, to see if the clone can get past this one last bit type of thing. So they're putting through, looking at the brain signals, trying to go, okay, so this is the, so we have all of this. And you're like, okay, this is, yeah, pretty intriguing, pretty intriguing. And her daughter is one of the scientists working on this whole kind of experiment. So there's a lot here. And a theme running through is this bond between the mother and the daughter trying to save her mum and work things out and worrying about, oh, did I get my mum killed because she was ill, right? So the mum kind of was doing all of this to get the money to save her kid, and so there's all this big thing. Interesting. For me, though, right? It's hard to connect with this bond because there's a lot of things going on that don't necessarily, like, the daughter was ill, potentially the illness is coming back, but you're just like, why wouldn't you have done, because they mentioned that, oh yeah, there's things that could have happened to have prevented, and it's just like, well, why wouldn't she have done that? Right? There's no explanation for it. And it's just like, wait, why wouldn't you have done that? Right? You're trying to do this thing to save you. And then they're talking about this class system within robots and stuff, which you then never see in action. Right? It's just this thing mentioned. So it's just like, it doesn't connect. Right? If we had seen, and maybe they shot it and cut it for length reasons, but if we had seen, people that had their brains cloned into robots, and they're, some people being treated one way, some the other, so you'd be like, oh yeah, right? You could understand, be like, oh yeah, but you wouldn't want to do that. Oh man, imagine if you had to be that. Oh, that'd be great. Like, we don't get that. It's just kind of a throwaway kind of few lines. So it lacked the resonance for me anyway. Right? That was there. Another thing that we get, which I've noticed in a lot of kind of Asian films and TV, right? It's a big thing in shit. What was the Squid Games, right? The over the topness, right? There's this guy that works for the chairman, and it's just like, oh, all of this kind of stuff, and you're just like, what the fuck is this, right? Because you're just like, look, I don't know, but I'm sure no one is acting like that in the workplace over in Korea, right? It's not happening. Either side, right? North or south. It's not going down. It's just weird. So it's odd that you get that so much in these shows, right? Because I think it pulls you out. Now, look, I get maybe going, oh, we want some comic relief or blah, blah, blah. Like, there's other ways. Like, you don't have to have these buffoon characters all the time, because it just like, there's not really a need, so you're just like, what? And then you have this guy kind of go out of control, and it's just like, wait, where does that come from? Because there was some moments what you see and you'd be like, okay, so he's a bit of a dick. But then the way it then goes from there, it's just like, well, what's the context? Right? Why? It just seemed very weird, out of place. Like, you're just throwing these things out there. So it's just, yeah, it was just that. It was a consistency, like a vibe. Right? It's like, I get that the girl wants to save her, try and help her mom and all of this, but again, it's the actions, right? Because she's a very sedate kind of character, which is fine. But it's just like, okay, what's your end goal here? We don't really know. So we have all of these things taking place. We see the chairman, and then there's other stuff that comes from that, but it's all a bit like, okay, where is people's intentions? What is it? Just seems to flim flam all over the place, right? So it just, I felt the story just lacked consistency. Effects wise, pretty fucking good, right? It's like that Wandering Earth from, I think that was that 2020 or maybe the end of 2019. But that film, crazy visual effects, right? Stunning. And again, with this, real great effects. The robots and all of that. Really good on that level. It's just, I felt the script was the thing that kind of lets it down. But if you enjoy, right, I would say if you enjoy Wandering Earth, right, I think this would work for you. Other things, Vespa, right? I think if you probably enjoyed Vespa, we spoke about that at the end of last year. I think that's another one that would probably fit into this. Um, yeah, an anime, if you're a fan of like some of those sci-fi anime things, I think that probably fits into this, right? So if you enjoy those things, Jung-yi is possibly something for you. Okay, it's available now on Netflix. So yeah, there you go, people. Go enjoy if that's your jam. All right.